Well, in a dry year, it seems like we have more spider mite issues. Why is that, Darren?
It was interesting, you know, this year they were showing up in June in some areas. I thought, wow, we're never that dry that early. Oh, I shouldn't say never, but I really can't remember being that dry that early. We were already seeing it in Iowa and Nebraska to our south. So guys in South Dakota where we farm are pretty nervous about it at that point. But really, when it gets really dry, when you think about spider mites, they have competition out there, but they also have disease.
And yeah, there is this fungus that gets on them in wetter conditions. So unfortunately, in dry years, the fungus doesn't get going and we have to spray for spider mites. As far as threshold goes though, this is the big thing. You know, I've been scouting.
I was waiting to see what you were going to say on this one.
I've been scouting and looking for spider mites for the last 25 years, and nobody has any concrete threshold because you can't just go out and count, oh, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8 aphids on that plant. I'm at this threshold. Well, if you're going to count spider mites, you got to have a magnifying glass, and it'd be very time consuming.
I think spider mites, when you talk about a threshold, if I'm seeing some in my field and I'm drought stressed, I'm going to do something about it.
There are many different types of spider mites. Two-spotted spider mites we'll see commonly around here, but there are several others. The big thing with spider mites is not all insecticides are going to control them. And in fact, some of them will actually what they call flare up spider mite outbreaks. For example, if you were to go out and use a pyrethroid, some of the best pyrethroids are Warrior, Silencer, Asana, Declare. They're fantastic at wiping out soybean aphids. The problem is they'll also kill some of the predators that could potentially eat the spider mites. So if there are no
the beneficials off
right,
again.
If there are no predators to kill the spider mites, then the spider mites can grow uninterrupted.
All right, but let's not lump all the pyrethroids together because Capture is fantastic, does a great job on most bugs, and it also has some pretty good activity on spider mites.
Yep.
So Capture would be the pyrethroid of choice, and fortunately that's come way down in price versus just a few years ago, so it's actually pretty reasonable to use Capture. The other product that we like to use for mite flare-ups in our area is Lorsban. Lorsban's been a good one. We've counted on that for years. It's a different chemical family. It's an organophosphate, and for a lot of farmers, they say, well, you know what, I've been using pyrethroids, maybe it's a good idea for me to rotate to an organophosphate now and again just to avoid any resistance potential.
Okay, with spider mites, I talked about how they are just about impossible to actually count the number of them. But you can see webbing out in your field. Once you get a lot of spider mites, you'll see it looks like some little spots on leaves, and you just have to do some further investigation.
Well, when you get drought conditions, you know, there are a lot of problems that happen out in your fields. One of the considerations that we get on our farm and many farms across the country when it's drier is you're going to have more spider mites compared to some of the other insects that are normally out in your field. You could get some of these mites that are out there that can definitely hurt things. There really aren't established thresholds, so you have to use your own judgment. If you think there are enough of them to justify treatment, Capture and Lorsban are the best options.
Well, Capture and Lorsban are great for spider mites, but unfortunately, they won't do a thing for our weed of the week. We'll tell you how to control it on your farm coming up next.